Game Awards 2019 is wrapped up and it's left many Nintendo fans disappointed, not because Smash got snubbed for Game of the Year. I don't think that's the main cause of disappointments. I think it's because of the lack of major reveals on Nintendo's side of things. On an event where many fans didn't go into it watching it for the awards, rather watching it for the world premieres and showcases during the event, some of them were left disappointed because they were expecting a big reveal from Nintendo, like we've gotten over the last couple of years. Last year we got the major announcement that Joker was the first Fighter Pass character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with a trailer for him, and then the year before that we got Bayonetta 3 announced for the Nintendo Switch, and in years before that we've gotten many different showcases and reveals by Nintendo. It's become expected by Nintendo fans for them to show something off that's pretty big in scale at the event. And after all, it really makes sense for Nintendo to do something like that. You get a lot of eyeballs on the Game Awards, especially from the Western fan base, so you're going to want to reveal something there that's going to appeal to many people who aren't buying Nintendo consoles right now, and you want to convert them over to go and purchase a Switch or something like that. There's going to be more non-Nintendo fans watching the Game Awards as opposed to those people watching Nintendo Directs, so this is a really good opportunity to target those potential fans. However, this didn't really happen. Nintendo's biggest reveal at the Game Awards was Bravely Default 2, ironically the third in the series, and I don't want to take anything away from the reveal of this game. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who are excited about it. This is a Square Enix title that is becoming an exclusive to the Nintendo Switch, which is pretty significant. It shows that Nintendo and Square Enix are continuing to work together, and this will probably amass even more projects going forward. But Bravely Default is more of a niche series. It sells just over 1 million units on average, which is fine for its series, but most Nintendo fans aren't as familiar with it or don't play it. Now, Bravely Default 2 could definitely change things. It could spark up some popularity for its series with this Game Awards reveal. However, this announcement hasn't been getting that much traction from Nintendo fans, meaning that Nintendo kind of missed the mark on this one. Other than Bravely Default 2, there were just some minor things that Nintendo showed off. A large drop in how much attention they're getting from the Game Awards events as they've gotten over the last couple of years. So the question I'm going to be trying to answer today is why? Why didn't Nintendo choose to reveal a major announcement at the Game Awards or show off the 5th and final DLC fighter to the Fighter Pass? It seemed like the perfect opportunity for them to do so, but they decided not to. And there's got to be some reasons for this, which I'm going to be trying to figure out within this video. Now, one thing that I need to establish is that the Game Awards is an award show, and people shouldn't have gone in expecting too much, but previous years have established the precedent that we shouldn't be expecting too much, but usually something decently big is going to be shown. Nintendo showed a teaser trailer for Joker last year, and that's it. They didn't show any gameplay for him, they waited till their own event to do something like that. The teaser trailer is mainly to hook people in so that they go and watch Nintendo's events and eventually go and purchase a Nintendo console and games for it. That's really their system that they're trying to establish here. So while I don't think you should have gone in with the largest expectations in the world, I don't think you should be blamed for being a little disappointed at this event. Smash won Best Fighting Game, but it didn't win Game of the Year, so there wasn't really that much interest from Nintendo fans in that perspective. So a lot of people were probably looking at this event from the world premiere side of things. The Game Awards have established themselves as not only an event to showcase awards, but to also showcase upcoming content for video game fans. And because of the precedent that Nintendo has set previously, I think it was justified for people to expect something to be shown off. But why did Nintendo choose not to do this? A possible reason for why Nintendo didn't reveal something big here is that they're planning on having a direct in January or early February and wanted to save some of these showcases for that event as opposed to putting them on the Game Awards. Show some minor things at the Game Awards, maybe they'll get some traction with Bravely Default 2 even though that didn't work out so well, but save the big stuff for their solely Nintendo focused event where they'll likely show off some big things for 2020. But why do I think that there really needs to be some presentation before the end of February? Well, that's when the final fighter for the Smash Bros. Fighter Pass is set to be released by. Unless there's been some sort of unanticipated delay, the final fighter needs to be revealed between now and the end of February, and I think revealing them in a Nintendo Direct may be Nintendo's ideal course of action here. What I personally thought Nintendo could have done is reveal the character at the Game Awards and then do a larger presentation focusing on the character like they've done with other characters for this DLC in the past. The one where Sakurai plays with the fighter, showcases their stage, their moves, all that. That's obviously what Nintendo has not decided to do here, so I think that they're probably saving this reveal for a January Nintendo Direct. But there's a couple of different ways Nintendo could go with this presentation. It could be a regular Nintendo Direct, or it could potentially be entirely Smash Bros. Related. Let me touch on that last idea for a little bit here. Would this presentation be entirely Smash Bros. Related, considering that they have done some entirely Smash Bros. Related presentations in the past? Well, it would be a little different this time, because for those presentations that we've gotten for the Fighter Pass so far, we've known what the character is going into that entirely Smash Bros. Presentation. We knew who the character was that they were going to showcase, and then we watched the showcase of them. But this one would be a little bit different if it was an entirely Smash related affair, because we don't know who the character is going in. It'll create an interesting dynamic if Nintendo decides to do something like this, and I think it would be a great way to change it up. They have sort of done something like this in the past, where they revealed who won the Smash Bros. Fighter ballot as they concluded the DLC for Smash 4. They showed off Bayonetta while also revealing her in the same presentation. So this is something that Nintendo could do, but they haven't done it yet for Smash Ultimate. This is only something that they've done in the past for Smash 4. So that's why I think it's more likely that we get the first idea that I touched upon being a full-on Nintendo Direct in January or early February, then potentially followed up with a Smash Bros. Presentation to showcase the fighter, potentially immediately following the Nintendo Direct like Banjo's, or potentially later on the day of the release of the fighter. If the Direct is January, I still think Nintendo would probably release the character in February, so if they do a Direct in January, then they could probably announce that a Smash presentation would happen on the day of the fighter's release. So if they do that presentation later on in February, they could do that showcase, and then release the fighter on the exact same day, just like they did with Banjo. But aside from the only real reasoning that I've listed so far for why Nintendo would probably do a Direct in January or February, being to showcase a fighter, there has been evidence from Nintendo doing early Directs in the year in the past. And I'd say that this year is a prime example of this, when Nintendo did a full-on Direct on February the 13th. In 2018, they didn't do a super early main one as it was in March instead, but they did have a Direct Mini in January, meaning that they do want to get some information out early on in the year for what's going to happen for the rest of the year. And for 2017, I don't need to remind you that we had that massive Nintendo Switch presentation in January that showcased a ton of games that would be coming out throughout the year. But this Nintendo Direct wouldn't only be to announce the new Smash fighter, but there's also a major lack of information about Nintendo Switch games in 2020. We know about a big spring title being Animal Crossing New Horizons, which will obviously sell an insane amount of units considering that Animal Crossing games typically do that, but other than that major title, there's really not been much confirmed, especially in the way of first-party titles. We are aware of some major titles coming in the future, such as Breath of the Wild 2 and Metroid Prime 4, but it's not necessarily confirmed that either of those will be released next year, especially the latter considering that Metroid Prime 4 earlier this year was announced to have been restarted development. So we're still going to have to find out about some new games if neither of those two titles that I just mentioned will be releasing next year. And a great way for us to find out about these new games would obviously be in a full-on Nintendo Direct when Nintendo has a lot of time on their own terms to announce a ton of titles. Nintendo potentially felt that announcing one of these big titles at the Game Awards would have taken away from the appeal of their own Direct happening earlier on in the year if they still planned on doing that. They maybe wanted to save the hype for that new Smash fighter reveal for their own presentation as opposed to putting it on the Game Awards. I don't know how much sense that makes, considering that the Game Awards has a lot of eyes on it, but potentially Nintendo feels that more of their own fans' eyes will be on the Direct as opposed to the Game Awards, which is mainly appealing to fans across the gaming spectrum. And let's just say Nintendo decided to show a little trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 as their major Game Awards announcement, well then that takes away from a major thing that they could be showcasing in their own presentation. And if you think about it, their own presentation may be their ideal strategy to market the final fighter of the Fighter Pass, considering that people who have already purchased the Fighter Pass are currently Nintendo Switch owners, Nintendo fans. Maybe the idea to announce Joker at the Game Awards last year was to show off the fact that there is a Fighter Pass to get people to go and purchase it, and these people that might be purchasing it are casual Nintendo fans or maybe not even Nintendo fans yet. They want them to go buy a Switch, buy Smash, buy the Fighter Pass, and they would do that earlier on, so that's a bigger appeal for them. They could go on the ride with Nintendo fans throughout this Fighter Pass like we've all been on throughout this time. However, now that we're at the end of the Fighter Pass, and there's still going to be more DLC coming after this, I know, but for this set of 5 fighters being the first paid DLC ones we're getting for Smash Ultimate, this is it so far. So maybe they really want to just appeal to Nintendo fans with that announcement, and they figure that people who aren't really Nintendo fans might not be interested in hopping on the Fighter Pass after all the stuff has already been released for it. So what's my prediction for the next couple of months for Nintendo in terms of the Directs and how we're going to be getting announcements for certain games? Well, my prediction is that we get some of the things that Nintendo would normally show in the Game Awards in a January Direct, like the Smash reveal, or maybe a trailer for a major 2020 game, or a couple of major 2020 games. Then on the day of the Smash Fighters release, we'll get a Sakurai presentation before it's released, then he'll be able to showcase and pitch the fighter for purchase. And since Animal Crossing Crossing is coming out in March of 2020. I assume closer to Animal Crossing's release, in early to mid-March, we'll get an entirely Animal Crossing focused Direct, unless in the January or February Direct, Nintendo spends a lot of time on Animal Crossing. Maybe in a 40-minute Direct, they would probably have to spend 10 minutes on Animal Crossing for them not to be justified to have an entirely Animal Crossing focused Direct. They probably will want to push Animal Crossing as much as possible, considering that this is the only major title announced so far. Now, I'm not too concerned about Nintendo's major titles for 2020, considering that going into this year, we didn't have many announced either. However, it is nice to have a little bit of security going into the year for what fans could be expecting. But Nintendo seems to love to surprise the fans instead of giving them that longer term outlook that other companies tend to do. And I kind of prefer it this way. I don't want games to be revealed like Final Fantasy VII is, where games are revealed 1 year and then released 5 years later. I do like the idea that for most of Nintendo's reveals, we get the reveal in 1 year and then it's either released the next, or later the same year, or maybe 2 years at the max, unless something is delayed like Breath of the Wild or Metroid Prime 4 is, for example. But in terms of what Nintendo's big 2020 title is going to be, I do have a video about that I've linked for you on the screen. Thank you so much for watching this one. Be sure to leave me in the comment section down below why you think Nintendo didn't decide to show off the final character of the Fighter Pass and the Game Awards, and consider subscribing and ticking the bell icon so that you don't miss any new Nintendo content coming your way very soon. I'll see you next time.